Hello, you're watching a special programme from London Live as the country enters a period of national mourning after Queen Elizabeth II has died. Well, joining me now is Tanya Francis, who travelled to Buckingham Palace today to get a sense of the feeling in the capital and indeed the country. Tanya, just give us a sense of what it was like at the palace.
Helena, in many ways, what an incredible day. It's been incredibly sad, but also the amount of love that I've seen in the capital today is really something to note. As you mentioned, there was outside Buckingham Palace, along with thousands of other people who had turned up to pay tribute to the Queen. And what really stood out to me there was how much admiration so many people had for her and the amount of joy that they brought, that she had brought to their lives. And the entire area in front of the palace gates was just flooded with thousands of people, and it was at a time where the weather really wasn't on our sides, but it didn't stop people coming out in the thousands, many carrying candles and beautiful bouquets and letters, all hoping that they could get close to the gates to leave their messages there. Just a couple that I read, really heartwarming. Jenny and Sylvia saying, "You were my grandmother's idol, and we are here today because you gave us so much." Another saying, "Thank you for inspiring so many generations." And that's also something that I noticed today, is that the love and the grief was felt by people of all ages. We had, tiny children there putting bouquets down, and then, also people very, very old, struggling to walk, but still wanting to just be there and sort of pay their respects. And not only throughout the generations, but globally, as I walked through the crowds, you just heard languages from countries all around the world, people just taking this moment to celebrate the Queen. Now, I spoke to a couple of those people who had some lovely messages from themselves, but also from their relatives, and beautiful flowers to lay outside the palace.
I was born nearly 40 years ago, so like everybody pretty much for 70 years old, the Queen has been a constant in our lives. So the Queen has also been woven into the daily fabric of our lives with our money, our currency, our stamps. We always see her everywhere. She's a British icon. So it's very difficult to sort of imagine British life without our Queen of England. So just from a lover of the royals and a lover of the Queen and what she's done for us.
And how are you feeling about now having a king? We'll soon have Charles as our leader.
I think Charles has been well groomed. He's been primed for the role for 70 years, so I think he'll do great with his Queen consort. It's going to be very jarring to adjust to having a King of England now, when we've been so used to saying Her Majesty the Queen and seeing the Queen's image on everything around us. So it's going to be very jarring to make that transformation from a female leader to now a male leader. But of course, life goes on, and we have to adjust to the change and keep the Queen in our hearts.
I think we all knew the day was going to come, but it was quite a shock. I think I was glad she got to the Platinum Jubilee. I think that's what she wanted, and I think now she's at times she's like, I'm done, I'm putting my feet up, I'm going for a rest.
She means a lot to me because her and I share the same birthday, the 21st of April, and I left my heart with her heart over there as a way of thank you.
Some tributes there from members of the public. Well, what was the feeling among the crowd? You mentioned thousands of people there.
What was incredible was there were thousands there, but there was this sense of peace and the crowd was very quiet, and it was really calm, and it was actually, a real sense of respect. I think a lot of times when we can have that many number of people in one space very quickly, it often doesn't feel very calm, and it really was there. And some people very much taking a moment for themselves to say goodbye, and then others clearly incredibly overwhelmed and overcome with grief by the news that we got yesterday. Lots of messages that I read that were attached to the bouquets spoke of how many saw the Queen as their own mother and had this sort of family connection to her. And so the news that we all received yesterday really, really hit home hard.
And I was watching things on TV this morning, and I was thinking, it just brings back so many memories. And she's been here, she's like my mother, really. I know, it's terrible.
The Queen has been protecting our country for centuries, and we loved her for protecting our lives and countries. And my families are feeling emotional because she died after like a lot of years, and the next king or queen should fill the shoes of the queen.
And just tell me who you're here with today.
I'm with my uncle, my grandma, my mum, and me.
Your grandmother, whereabouts is your grandmother from?
Ecuador, South America.
And you all live here together as a family, do you?
Yes.
Yo no me siento bien, yo me siento mal, porque
I don't feel well. I feel bad because in my heart I loved her very much. Because of the Queen, she helped us so much, and that's why we're here. We're here in this country.
estamos aquí.
We've lost the Queen, but we do good things. We don't do bad things because we have peace. Me and my family are here and we bring peace, and I love it here and I love the cold.
Nada que hablar de aquí del país, a mí me gusta aquí, incluso me gusta el frío.
Thank you. Just thank you, Flora. Just thank you. Thank you. And I hope she rests in the peace, you know.
Now we saw there just quite how difficult some of the people that were there were finding today. And just to give you a sense of how busy it was, there were queues of people going all the way up Grosvenor Place and down Constitution Hill, queuing with bouquets of flowers to get right in front of the palace gates, which had been cordoned off, and that was where thousands of bouquets had been left. And a couple of people, understandably, didn't want to wait in the rain and didn't want to wait what looked like a couple of hours in order to get into that area so that they could hook their flowers onto the palace gate. So we helped one family that had originally come from New Zealand to make sure that their bouquet got as close to the gates as possible.
Sorrowed by the Queen having passed last night, here with my family, and we've all come down to pay our respects. She's done an incredible job throughout her whole life, dedicating her life to the crown, and we're all just here to pay our respects to Her Majesty the Queen.
Have you travelled far today to come down to Buckingham Palace?
We are from New Zealand, but we live about a 15-minute walk away. And yeah, we're amazed by how many people have travelled so far away to come and pay their respects. Yeah.
Now, there are incredibly huge queues to get onto the other side of the barrier, right in front of the gate. And many people are not able to come across. Would you like us to take the flowers for you so that we can...
Love you too. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
What message, would you want to go with the flowers for the Queen? I don't know if you've got a card on there or just something that you'd like to sort of say to her on behalf of you and your family.
We'd just like to say thank you so much for dedicating your life to such a, beautiful, country and the people in it. She is, a great role model to me and so many others. And yeah, I would just like to say thank you, and that would be amazing.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Not only here in London that we've been seeing things like that. It's up and down the country. People are leaving flowers and lighting candles, most notably outside Balmoral Castle, but also Windsor Castle. And just looking at the news internationally, how she's being remembered globally. It really is a very special day.
Absolutely. Well, Tanya Francis, thank you so much. Tanya there with a roundup of the public sentiment outside Buckingham Palace and beyond. You're watching a special London Live news show, more to follow as the nation mourns the death of our longest reigning monarch.
Where did you come? I know what you want.
The Queen was devoted to her corgis. Her first, Susan, was given to her as an 18th birthday present by her parents in 1944. Susan became the founder of the Queen's royal dog dynasty, but she was not always well behaved, known for being rather partial to going for servants' legs. During her reign, the Queen owned more than 30 corgis, with many of them direct descendants from Susan, who was so loved that she accompanied Princess Elizabeth on her honeymoon. In April 2018, the Queen was left devastated when Willow, her final corgi descended from Susan, died. Perhaps less associated with the Queen were her Labradors and Cocker Spaniels, which were bred and kept at Sandringham and were also firm favourites. Her Majesty leaves behind 3 surviving dogs, 2 corgis and 1 dorgie.